Phil Ebener here with Video School Online, and today I'm explaining why I purchased a Canon C100 Mark II for 2018. And this is one of the last times I'm actually going to be filming in my office right now because currently I have workers putting together my complete dream office studio, which we're going to be filming in about a month or so, which means lots more great content and lots of other cool stuff coming for Video School Online and the YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribe, like us, give us a thumbs up so you can see what's next. In this video, I'm going to explain why I purchased the Canon C100 Mark II instead of a number of other options when I had the budget. I could have purchased the C200, the brand new cinema line camera from Canon. I could have gotten on the Sony line and purchased all new glass. I could have upgraded to one of the filmmaking favorites, the Panasonic GH5. But for my uses, I decided to go with the Canon C100 Mark II. First though, why did I upgrade at all? I've actually been using my Canon 70D to film most of my tutorials and courses for the past couple of years. I have created some of our courses with friends using things like the Sony F5, FS7, Sony A7S, and a range of other cameras, including the Canon C100. And since I'm building out my dream studio, I felt like this was the perfect time to invest in a new camera that would fit that setup. So what was I looking for? I was looking for a camera that has internal audio inputs so that I can plug my Rode NTG3 boom microphone that's standing right above here right into the camera. No more syncing footage in post using my Zoom H4n or Zoom H6n to record separately. Little things like that add up to make my production process a lot faster. Another thing I didn't like about my Canon 70D was not having clean HDMI out. What is the benefit of that? Well, with live streaming taking off, if I want to connect my nice camera to my computer so that I get a better looking picture than a webcam, I would need a clean HDMI output. The Canon C100 has that. So using something like a converter from Blackmagic, I'm going to be able to plug my camera directly into my computer and stream with this quality of video, which I'm really excited about. I can even record screencast videos where I have talking head videos with this quality of video at the same time, using basically this camera as a webcam. So that will up my production value as well. There are a couple more bonus features that I love about the C100 and really any sort of upgrade to a DSLR. And those include things like zebras and peaking. I'm using peaking right now where I can actually see right on the screen what's in focus and not, and be assured that it's going to be in focus. You have ND filters, neutral density filters within the camera, so that if I want to have a wide open aperture with that nice blurry background when I'm shooting outside, I don't have to close down that aperture. I can just pop on an ND filter and get that nice, beautiful shot. And lastly, let's talk about 4K. So 4K is the resolution, and if you're watching this, you probably know what 4K footage is, but it's a larger video size and larger, we'll call it quality, than regular HD 1920 by 1080 footage. The C100 does not shoot 4K footage. So in 2018, you might be asking me, Phil, why are you buying a new camera when you can't shoot 4K with it? And it all has to do with my own production process and the purposes that I'm recording video. 99.9% of my content is educational content that I stream online. Online courses, tutorials, things like this that you're watching right now. Most people right now aren't going to be playing back that video in 4K. And even if they were, most of them are watching it on a small device or on a tab in their computer in a little YouTube window, where watching it in 4K isn't going to even make that much of a difference. Plus, because I'm recording long form courses and tutorials, I record a lot of footage. Some of our courses are 20, 30 hours long, and I don't want to have to edit that in 4K. That's too render intensive. It's going to take longer to render, process on my computer, plus storing all of that footage, that's a lot of space. Even when I've shot courses with a camera that is 4K capable, I've always shot in 1080 because I just don't want to deal with it. Not only are most people watching it online where 4K doesn't matter too much at this moment, but most people won't even be able to stream in 4K. A huge audience of mine are international students who don't have fast, high quality internet. People complain about the 720p playback that Udemy offers, where most of my courses are. So jumping up to 4K, it doesn't really make sense. And I also doubt that Udemy is going to be offering 4K playback anytime soon. 720p is still the standard, and only certain courses can play back at 1080p. So at the end of the day, when I think about when will I need 4K, it's not for my typical everyday use. And the cool thing is that if I ever do need to shoot with 4K, I have friends with cameras that can shoot 4K. I did struggle a little bit deciding, should I invest now in a camera that shoots 4K, that has all of these new features that will future-proof me, or should I purchase something that's less expensive but still shoots great footage? And at the end of the day, I realized that for most of my uses, seriously 99.9% of them, I'm only going to be shooting in 1080p. The great thing about using the Canon C100 Mark II for that is that it has a full frame 4K sensor. It just downgrades the footage to 1080p, but you're still getting higher quality footage than most other 1080p cameras like my DSLR, the Canon 70D. Even though it's both 1080p, the quality is going to look better from this camera. But you might be saying, Phil, I understand a lot of the reasons why you purchased this camera, but there are other alternatives that are still in that same price range that do shoot 4K, that do have more features. And that's true. I could have jumped to the Sony line using something like the Sony FS5 or Sony FS7. I could have jumped up to a better DSLR system like the Canon 5D Mark IV, or I could have jumped to a completely different system like the Panasonic GH5 or a mirrorless camera like the Sony A7 series. Don't get me wrong, I understand that those cameras can shoot amazing footage, and it probably would look better than this footage with the Canon C100. But there are a few key reasons why I stuck with Canon. One is just with the lenses. I already have Canon lenses, and I hate using adapters. Personally, I have used adapters with my Canon lenses on such things as a Sony A7S, but I found that I don't like how bulky it looks. I don't like that the autofocus and just focusing in general doesn't work that well. And so that's one reason I didn't want to purchase another brand unless I was going to have to buy all new lenses as well. Speaking of focus, Canon has autofocus down to a T. I know I did a lot of research. I've shot with other cameras like the Sony series, the Panasonic GH5. The autofocus just isn't as good as Canon's dual pixel autofocus. When I'm recording myself, standing in a studio, I want to make sure that focus is going to be on me, and so that's one of the reasons why I stuck with Canon, and specifically a Canon with that dual pixel autofocus. And one more reason is because of skin tones. You hear this a lot with Canon users, but I love the skin tones and the colors that Canon has. I've tried shooting with a lot of Sony cameras, and unless you have perfect lighting or you are shooting outside, I've always found that the skin tones look off, and it's difficult to get them to look perfect, or at least the way that I like them, in post. So not having to deal with that at all will be nice, sticking with the Canon color science. So should you buy a Canon C100 Mark II right now? Well, it is a great price for the camera that you get. And it's impossible to know, are they going to do another upgrade? Is there going to be something in the Canon line or another line that will be comparable coming out soon? This camera came out in late 2014 and was in people's hands in early 2015. It seems like the Canon C200 was the perfect upgrade to this camera, and while I considered upgrading directly to that, I realized that for half the price, the C100 Mark II would just fit the bill for me. If you're looking for a camera that will stay in your studio, if you shoot a lot of footage, if you're a YouTuber or an online teacher that just wants a camera that has internal audio inputs, that you can use features like zebras and peaking and autofocus to make sure that you look great, then I think the Canon C100 Mark II is perfect for you. But I'm excited to take this camera and put it in my studio and create a lot more content for you. I think it's going to make me more efficient and just make me happier while I create more content. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think this was a good purchase? Do you think this was a bad purchase? Do you think there was a better alternative for me? Submit a comment below and I'd be happy to check out your thoughts. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for lots more content like this. Thanks so much and have a beautiful day.